for the daily viewers, or at least the ones who watched the last video, how did my actually I think this is my second to last midterm go. How did the second to last midterm go for one of my classes? Let's let's just say I'm going to rely on partial credit. Let's just say some of these questions, I know I got a little bit of it right, but you know, who's to say? Who's to say if a decimal place was in the wrong spot, or I used a sine instead of a cosine when trying to find the theta, beta, zeta? Forget it. It's over. And now I can actually focus on the fun part of the day. Chest. Chest. And maybe a little something else. Maybe just a little something else thrown in at the end for kicks. Just for little kick skis. But chest, same as normal. I mean, I'm talking heavy pressing, some cable flies. Man. There's a pec deck here. Or, I mean, there's two of the same brand. And really, I don't know what they were thinking. They used to have a real old school pec deck at this gym at the rec center. And you could add plates to it. It was real fucking simple. Just all metal, no plastic, no junk. Super smooth. You could seriously wreck your chest on it. In a good way, of course. But instead, a Nautilus one, which probably belongs at a retirement home based on how heavy the stack is. So a little bit unfortunate there. Not my favorite change up there. But, I'll still make it work if I decide I want to do pec decks. Maybe I'll just do, I don't know. You can't really load weight onto the machine either because the pins aren't it's not a typical weight stack, which you could add like a plate or two plates to the side of. It's like the selectorized plates with the little, like the flip switches. So a bit trickier to overload. But as long as I do some good sets of heavy pressing to begin with, what kind, I'm not totally sure. I've got dumbbells, barbell, and a few chest presses that I could use. Do I want to start off with just some heavy machine press? I usually never do it. That actually sounds like a good idea. I'll have to see what happens when I get in there and warm up. But I may have just kind of laid out the whole plan for the workout just from one little spontaneous thought. Machine press first, few sets, heavy, then move on to whatever else. Be it incline barbell or cable flies or even dumbbell. I mean, could do dumbbell flies just on a bench if I really wanted. I'm not really a massive fan because they're really just a stretch biased movement. Like when it comes to certain chest presses, you're not going to be so, let's just say you're not going to be so worried about not being able to get the weight back up to halfway. It's going to just be much more difficult in this top range of motion, the real contracted portion of the rep. So some movements bias different portions of your fucking range of motion, right? Like when you're doing a squat, when your legs are completely straightened, your quads aren't really firing that much at all, just enough to stand up. Whereas on a leg extension, your quads can be in the same position, totally straightened, but that's when they're fucking at their maximum load. So it kind of goes the same way with chest. And I mean, any other movement you do, but with chest, I do kind of take that into account. So it's not like I have a real written out workout routine, but for each muscle group, even if it is just a little bit subconsciously, sometimes I don't think about it, I do try to hit a few criteria, which always, let me get a pretty gnarly pump, and it seems to have been working, from the last however long onwards and now. Not to mean that just because you've done something and it worked means that, it's the perfect way to do it. but that is kind of proof that it's been working. So when it comes to chest, I'd say you probably got a few check boxes that if you hit off, or that if you check off in a lift, you're probably good. Now, start with the big ones. You want to be fatigued at the end of your workout and pumped. So that's two big ones right there. If you're fatigued and pumped at the end, you definitely did something right. But getting a little bit more detailed with it, I like to have some heavy pressing. I mean, as heavy as I can go for like, I'm talking 8, 10 reps. And I don't mean like 8 or 10 and you're like, oh, okay, that was kind of a hard set, I'll rack it. I mean 8 to 10 to like legit failure, to the point where you need safeties or you need a spotter to avoid catastrophe. I think a few sets of heavy pressing like that and just really kind of fucking, making sure you recruit all your muscles. I'm sure there's a fancier way to say that, but that's really all I'm trying to say there. It is going to be good for you. And then, apart from that, definitely some movements which bias the contracted portion of the rep. And what I mean there is like, maybe a cable press or pec deck or whatever. Still a decent amount of weight. I'm not talking like super lightweight, but movements where you can get to, a fully extended position, whether you're pressing or you're flying, and really just squeeze the fuck out of your chest. I even like doing the kind of, I don't know what you'd even call them, sort of dumbbell chest levers. I don't have a name for them. But you stand in front of the dumbbell rack, you pick up a pair of 40s or whatever. You kind of hold them in front of your quads and, just in front of you. And then you flex your pecs to pull your arm and the dumbbell across your body. And you don't get a good stretch because, you're not reaching all the way back here at the end of the rep. All your arm is doing is sitting here. But in terms of the flexed position and how hard you can squeeze your fucking chest, I tell you what, it's up there. Top dog movement in the flexing department. And then, something to really stretch yourself out too. At the end of the lift, I always try to do, or not always, but I can tell for the most part, I usually end with, well, every so often, I end chest with kind of a declined fly. Because you got to think, when you're doing cable flies, you can kind of do them where your hands, are in line with your torso, right? Perpendicular to you, like you're doing a pec deck. You can maybe put your hands a little bit higher up and do incline flies. Really try to flex your upper chest. Or you could bend over and kind of, just do a decline fly, right? Kind of a high to low sort of fly. Or a high to low press too. I like that also. I'm not a massive fan of decline for, well, really anything when it comes to chest. But at the end of a chest day especially, I do like it. At least in terms of, when it's a flying based movement. Usually cable, but there are machines that are, literally the exact movement path I'm describing. It's kind of a fancier machine, but it's just two fucking handles and they rotate downward, so you're kind of just doing it's like if you flipped a pec deck sideways. But finishing chest with that I do like, because I can really stretch out as much as I want and not worry about like, kind of pulling something. I think that's, actually I don't think, that is kind of why I don't go all the way to my chest when I do like incline bench or whatever. And that is partially just because I have really long arms. Like I'm pretty sure I'm in the positive when it comes to my ape index. But also, I'm too tight and I need to stretch out. So I feel more comfortable really pushing the limits of how stretched I can get my chest with, cable fly kind of weight. But by doing that, I always do finish with a pretty inflated set of pecs. That's what I'm going for there. So, a gloomy 7:30 on a Wednesday. If I had to predict, I would say the gym is, well, I never know. Every time I think it's empty, it's packed. And sometimes when I think it's going to be packed, well, it's still packed. So who's to say? I guess we'll find out very shortly once I finish warming up and we jump to the first working set of whatever. Yeah. So I've warmed up cables, shoulders, triceps, rotator cuff, and then worked my way up in a couple rep increments from a plate, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was kind of considering trying to go for another plate, but with some machines, I mean, it's just not even necessarily gonna hit my chest anymore. I've said this before, but well, maybe not this exactly, but with machine presses especially, it's much easier for you to just try to leverage every possible fucking muscle fiber you've got that's going to contribute to, pressing the weight up rather than kind of, focus on what you're really hitting. I think if I were to add another plate, I'd probably just activate more fucking triceps. So this is about as heavy as I want to go within, chest targeting reason. So let's just go nuts here for the first one. One more. Same weight. Okay. Let's drop a plate for the next one. And then I think we can move on. Okay. Let's move on. Let's throw some dumbbells around. Okay. I'm a little more fatigued than I thought. I think it's time for some cable flies instead of pressing. Those machine presses really did me fucking good. Oh, yeah. Only the 130s. These things are fucking heavy, man. There we go. I think some bent over cable press would be perfect. Probably a drop set as well. Yeah. Okay. I don't really love that right now. Let's get some pec deck going instead. Good set. Don't want to do another one. All right, I lied. Due to the pec deck being taken, I'll do one set of machine press before pec decks. Probably a drop set too. Okay. 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 Now let's wait for the pec deck. After that set, I can take a few minutes. Okay. Let's pose down. All right. Exposure to a reasonably freaky level. Let's see how we're looking. So what was that? 3 sets of machine press, 1 set of dumbbell bench, very like stretch focused. Cable press. So cable press. Pec deck. Only 6 sets? I can't fucking remember. Either way, fully pumped. So I kind of hit the criteria that I wanted. Like I was saying in the car. I did my heavy sets. You know, I did my stretching set at the end with the pec deck. I did my machine press with really focus on the squeeze itself. I mean, the only thing left to do now is fucking see the visual result. So let's get a glimpse. Come on. I'm so spoiled at this gym. This has got to be the best lighting that there is, at least within the tri-state area for me. Because I've had good lighting. I mean, the lighting in the basement's decent at the the home gym, but it doesn't compare to this one. Honestly, I think I need to recreate this whole posing setup just so I can fucking get crazy pump checks at every gym I go to. But you tell me, does that look like the pump of a 246 pounder, which is my morning weight this morning? I don't think so. I don't freaking think so. Oh, well, that's pretty much fucking it. Apart from approaching nice and veiny, most muscular, all you really got the chest is a fucking side chest. But lift complete. Let's get at it. Chest. Chest is what? Let's get a little multiple choice going here. Chest is normal, pumped, nuts, gnarly, all the above, except for normal. Yeah, I'm getting excited to be done with this cut, man. I'm ready to get back to bulking up again. But it will take 4 letters, Two syllables. Or no, two, what am I saying? Two vowels. Time. Uh, yeah. When I diet down, I get very impatient because I'm not making any gains right now. You know, all I'm doing is, I'm really just fucking basically taking a break from growing, which is the progress which I like the most. You know, as much as I love getting lean, and I'm like, oh sweet, I'm gonna see my, my pecs and my veins and striations all over the place and whatever else. As much as I like that, whatever. I feel better seeing the scale go up than I do seeing it go down. But that's just the nature of the beast. So we'll give it just a touch bit more time, and then get back on the horse, BULK style. BULK. And my favorite part about it is it'll be the heaviest that I've ever been, because that's been the, well, let's just say the what's the word I'm thinking of? Well, the trend as so far. Each bulk has been heavier than the previous one, and not for no reason either. Right? Eat a certain amount of food, gain a certain amount of muscle and body fat, peel off some of that body fat, and then you should remain with just a touch more lean tissue in your frame. Not the most complicated math in the world, but in my opinion, some of the most enjoyable. So, plan now is to go stop at Kroger and get some steaks, because I do not have jack to eat at the house, apart from just random, treats and shit. So, that'll be dinner. That will be a proper lifter dinner. Probably well, I'm not exactly sure what. Maybe just, I'll have to see what I get. Honestly, I might want to do some Sloppy Joe sandwiches. Diet friendly, of course. So I'm not talking about full-on fat ground beef or however you make a normal Sloppy Joe. No. I'm talking, 96% lean ground beef mixed with, once cooked and strained, of course, mixed with some fat-free cheese and some low-calorie to zero-carb barbecue sauce. Stir all that up together in a bowl and throw it on some low-calorie keto buns. You get yourself a hearty meal. A hearty meal, low in fucking calories, which is fucking perfect for me. So, another few weeks of this, and then we can get back to the real fun part, Back to bulks, back to having a full belly on the regular, which, if you are trying to bulk up right now, and haven't really been putting too much weight on, the scale hasn't really been changing too much for me, then more likely than not, can I tell you something? Can I tell you something as a friend? No judgment. You're not eating enough food. You're not eating enough food, man. Look, I get it. You eat a lot. I've been there. Man, I eat so much already, man. What are you talking about? If you're not growing, you're not a genetic anomaly. You're really just not eating enough fucking food. And as simple as that is to say, to actually understand that as the real answer, it does take a little bit of, I don't want to say thought, because it's very simple, but kind of a fucking awakening. Because people don't really see the big picture and immediately jump to blame training. That's pretty much the main thing people blame, is the fucking training itself, when really you're just not putting enough fucking fuel into the tank to get the results that you want. And vice versa is the same thing. And also, that's probably even a more upsetting case, is you're eating too much, man. You're eating too much. I'm not sure if you got, what's the word I was about to say? Maybe you've got to replace your bowls and plates with one size smaller, but you got to cut down on the calories. Because if you get on the scale every morning for weeks on end, and you're the exact same weight every time, you're not making progress, dude. You're just staying in the exact same place, which is an unfortunate fucking state, you know? I mean, who wants to do that? Who wants to wake up and do the exact same thing on absolute repeat and then just keep doing it forever? Doesn't sound very cool to me. Does not sound very cool to me at freaking all. So, it's, they're actually getting ready to close, so I'm not going to make this a grocery trip so I can actually get everything. But I'll give you a little recap. How would you like a little grocery recap? So I'm going to park and I will see you in just a few minutes. And we're back. What was the list? What did the receipt consist of? 2 pounds of 96% beef. Lean, of course. I mean, about 96% fat. It's fucking bananas. A little bit of sushi, just because I kind of wanted it. I just like it. Some fat-free... Actually, I was kind of surprised by this. Some fat-free cheddar cheese American slices. That kind of piques my... that made my macro sense kind of start firing just a touch. Because you say fat-free cheese, and I say that's not an amalgamation of dairy products. That is a perfect addition to some ground beef without too much fucking calories. Right? You gotta put your macro goggles on and keep an eye out for stuff like that. Because if I were to slap 3 slices of American cheese into, my ground beef and kind of stir it up with the barbecue sauce, I mean that's going to be 150 calories, whereas 3 slices of the fat-free cheese, that's only 80. Just cut it in half. You've only got so much fats and carbs to play with for the day. I never really feel like I run out of protein. I never really overeat the protein, of course. That's kind of just a macro that I hit, and that's the end of it. But everything else, be careful. Be a touch, teeny tiny, itty bitty bit careful. But yeah, plan now, go home, get some laundry going, because I wouldn't want to show you my room right now. Let's just put it like that. Not because it's like full of trash or whatever, but I'm getting to the point where there might be more dirty laundry than there is clean laundry. And that's not very well paired with the fact that my apartment's washing machine and dryer are like a third of a normal size. So, not awesome. But that's just me being lazy. So, if you're still mid academia, we're in the home stretch. We're in the home stretch, fools. Last few weeks. Not that really relates to lifting, of course, but come on. Actually, sometimes it does. If you're bulking up, and then me especially, finals week or finals month-ish, that's not super conducive to a bulk. And really, just being super busy isn't conducive with bulking up either. Because it's not very difficult to get your meals in if you're kind of floating around at home all the time. Or even if you have a lot of classes in a day, this being more of a college dude. But if they're spread out and you can come back, kind of come back to HQ, make a meal, and then leave again a couple times, that's going to work out perfect. But more likely than not, you got to leave in the morning. You don't even get to come back to the house until the evening. So that's where you got to prep some stuff. That's where you got to get your Tupperware out and pack yourself some ground beef and a touch of rice or whatever you've got to eat to match your dieting goals. And if it's bulking up, I wouldn't be too upset if you have a treat or two. Maybe even have 3. But yeah, plan for tomorrow is Back. Yeah, there we go. Plan for tomorrow is back. And then just keep trimming down until we're ready to start the bulk up again. Honestly, I kind of feel like I want to. That'd be kind of funny. Maybe I've got an idea for a new air freshener. Not that I only took down the Berserk one just because I felt like it was getting old. But yeah, maybe I should put a days until the bulk countdown. Of course, it's only going to be an estimation, but you get the gist. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of funny. I might look into that. But either way, keep going hard, man. You know, how many times do I have to say it? How many times do I have to say keep going hard before I can lock it into your mind? But you get the gist. So, eat, sleep, repeat, as it should be. I'll see you tomorrow.